Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Finance is the New Black. I'm your host Marshall Condon. Thank you again for joining me today. We really appreciate your time and you taking time out of your busy day to learn all things that are finance. Today we've got a few questions from our viewers and we are wrapped to get straight into it. Dave, what's our first question?
Okay, the first question is from Stephen from Richmond. I find it hard to save as I have a lot of weddings and birthdays. Is there a way I can keep tab of all my spending?
Steve, I am on the same page with you there. It seems like every weekend at the moment there is a birthday, a wedding, a bucks, something that you've got to buy a present for and attend. And I think it's you're probably in a similar stage of your life with me where everyone's getting married and there's birthdays and 30ths and those sort of things. And it is very hard to kind of keep track on that goal of saving up to get the deposit, or if you've got a mortgage, keeping ahead of the mortgage and making sure that you're paying that down. Look, there's a few different ways you can do it, and everyone's different about how they like to track where they spend and what they do. Look, I know there's some methods where people diarise it. People keep their own diaries and they manually enter in there what they've spent their money on, and they review it at the end of the week and they get an idea about where they're actually spending. A lot of people find that a bit more therapeutical because they get to really take notice and write it down. Alternatively, there's also other options out there that can make it a bit easier for you and a bit less manual. So there is applications out there that you can use, which will speak to your account. It'll kind of download all your transactions for you. It'll categorise them all of them, and then help you set a budget so you get an idea of where you're actually spending your money. Now, when those once-off things pop up, though, I suppose these are the things when you're creating your budget, you want to kind of make sure that you get a little bit of a buffer to make sure you've got a little bit extra for those sort of things. So, your holidays and your birthdays and those sort of things, we all know that they're going to pop up during the year. So, I would say it's taking that step back and making sure that's built into the budget up front, so that when you're making those savings, a little bit of that's going towards these one-off things that pop up. But using going back to what method you can use to track it, we're actually launching our own app called Neue, which is a budgeting and cash flow app, and this will basically track all your accounts and your spending for you. You have one place to basically sign in. You can view all your accounts, view your position, and also it'll track your budget more importantly. So you don't need to go and categorize expenses or anything like that. It'll automatically do it for you, and more importantly, it'll help you basically keep on track of it as well. So it will alert you if you've overspent on certain categories outside of that budget you built in. But with anything like this, when you're using an app or you're diarising, all those sort of things, it really comes back to that initial plan set at the start. If you're setting your budget realistically to build in these things that pop up, it shouldn't be something that pops up out of the blue and you're finding it's getting on top of you. If you've got it built in, you've got those buffers built in, it shouldn't feel like that these things are taking away from achieving that goal from whatever it is. But look, trust me, I feel your pain. I'm going through it myself at the moment. It seems like you're always just spending money on something. But the good thing is, Steve, if you've got all those things coming up, you've still got some mates, so it could be worse. So we really appreciate your question. Thanks for writing in, and we hope you got some good information. Dave, what's our next question?
The next question is from Elaine in Canterbury, and she asks, what is a rate lock, and should I choose to do this with my loan?
Elaine, that's a really, really great question and completely topical at the moment with where we sit in the rate market. So a rate lock is an option you have if you choose to take a fixed rate home loan. What you can do is you can choose to lock that rate in at the time of submission. So with fixed rate home loans, what you are doing is you're choosing to take a rate for a period of time on your home loan. So say, for example, you're borrowing $500,000, you might want to lock the rate in for 3 years fixed, which basically means your rate might be, let's call it 4.5 for 3 years. So for that 3 years, it won't change. The issue is though with fixed rates is that you don't actually get the rate when you apply for the loan, you get the rate when you settle on the loan. So for example, if you've bought a property and it's a 60-day settlement, if you apply now, it's not going to be 60 days until that rate applies. At the moment, we're seeing rates change almost every week at the moment. Fixed rates, variable rates, interest-only rates are all changing, and the rate that you may have been quoted up front may actually be a different rate and higher potentially by the time you settle. So your option, or you have an option to kind of insure yourself against this, and it's called rate lock. So it's basically, you can lock that rate in as soon as you do submission up front. So the rate that you've been quoted, you can get it up front, and your rate lock will basically last for 90 days. So essentially, the rate lock unfortunately doesn't come free with everything like this. It will cost you, and it can vary from bank to bank. So some lenders it's 0.15% of the loan amount, or the fixed rate you're locking in, and some lenders it's a flat fee. So depending on the lender that you're looking at, if you're looking at fixing in, rate lock is certainly something to consider at the moment, just because the way that the rates are changing so much. But it's a great question, quite topical, and it's one of those things that can be missed during the process, because when it's your first time, there's a lot to cover off, and if it's not explained, it's quite something very, very important that can probably save you a lot of money if you did take a fixed rate and unfortunately the rates change. But thanks for seeing through the question, Elaine. We appreciate your time. And look, we hope again from this episode, everyone has some great information. Feel free to send through your questions, or feel free to just touch base with us. Happy to talk through any questions in person as well. If you liked the episode and you liked the information, please subscribe and send through any comments and feedback, both positive and negative, where we're happy to take it. Again, we appreciate your time. Thanks for viewing, and we look forward to speaking soon. We look forward to receiving your questions, and you can post your questions either on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, or you can private message us on Facebook. Send through your questions, and we look forward to answering them.